This is the recordproduction.com interview, and we're at Helicon Mountain Studios with Laurie Latham.
Hello.
Hello. All these big projects that you've been involved with, they date back quite a long way now, and yet they all still sound pretty current.
Well, we've just, funnily enough, I've just remastered the 25th anniversary of No Parley.
Right.
They're doing a whole package.
Yeah.
Sony are going to re-release it. Paul's done a load of sleeve notes and stuff. And that was quite funny, going over to Metropolis with Tim Young, who mastered the original and had all his original notes.
Brilliant.
And it's all mastered on quarter inch.
Yeah.
And in those days I used to mix like 8 bars at a time and chop it all together.
Yeah.
And then quite often I'd then do a 12-inch mix. And we'd go, well, hang on, that's miles better than the first one. And end up chopping that down.
Copy it and chop it, yeah.
But after we baked the tapes and put it on the machine, Tim was spooling it back and it sort of fell apart on the machine in bits of sticky tape.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. But it sounded really nice. I mean, quite bright. I mean, the 80s. The 80s was treble, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher and treble. That's what it gives me the horrors, really.
Yeah.
But it was toppy, but in a very warm, nice way. It's quarter-inch tape. But Tim looked at his notes. He said, "I can't believe it. I actually added more top to this when we cut it."
That's what mastering engineers do, isn't it?
So now it's all a bit warmer and friendlier.
Oh, right, interesting. Yeah.
It's quite nice.
I'd be interested to compare the difference. I've still got my vinyl, so I'll have to get that and do a bit of A/B testing. But it was very. I mean, I remember thinking it was a very polished sounding production. It wasn't. Paul Young wasn't somebody I'd naturally been into. I was a big Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix
me too.
fan,
Yeah, I mean.
But something about that. I went out and got the album, and I thought, this is great.
Well, I was probably quite an unlikely choice of producer in a way, and that's probably that different chemistry is probably what made it.
Yeah, it crossed over.
Because he was in a band called the Q-Tips, and I said, look, let's not have Hammond organ. Now I use Hammond organ on everything.
Yeah.
But at the time, so let's not have Hammond organ and brass. Let's explore. Let's get some bass marimbas in, and some unusual instruments.
And was it a good band then that were on that album? How did that work? How did the musicians come together?
Well, in fact, Pino Palladino is still the best musician I've ever worked with. He's just a genius.
And was he brought in as a session musician, or was that a decision you made? Or
I suppose initially you could call him a session musician, but he soon became part of the whole band, the live thing. And and there was Mark on drum, and then the Rev, as they call him, the keyboard player, Ian Cooley, was a very talented keyboard player and arranger.
Right.
So it's a really great mixture of people.
Yeah, I was wondering whether it's luck or judgment that you happen to have all these great people.
I think definitely a bit of both. I think really.
And what is it? Do you think about the way you've put these things together that makes them stand the test of time? Can you put your finger on? A lot of records from those eras sound awful now. There's I think if you listen to Ian Dury, you can still there's loads of great sounds in it, and it's balanced beautifully and leaps out the speakers a bit.
Well, I suppose the Ian Dury stuff is more a timeless sort of sound than the Paul Young thing. The Paul Young thing, there was a definite strategy and production angle on it. Let's use fretless bass mixed with analog pad sounds. And unfortunately, it's not something I particularly like now, but the Simmons drums became quite a big. At that time we were all into reggae and the Sly and Robbie thing, and all those guys started using Simmons kits.
Yeah, they'll be back next year.
So all the lots of delay lines and things like that, and there's a very definite idea of the production from my side of it.
Well,
I've got a lot of slagging off for that.
Yeah, and how do you keep that clear vision? If you're twiddling all the knobs as well, it must be quite difficult to sort of step back. If you've got all these great people around you telling you what they think you should be going on, you've got to obviously at some point take the reins and go, no, we're going to do this, that and the other. Do you not find difficult to get away, sort of stand back if you're busy EQing the hi-hat or something?
No, not really. I don't know, it's all sort of like painting pictures really. I think I was very fortunate with everyone being so understanding probably at the time. And
did you present to them your concept of the analog pads and the fretless bass and say, right, this is what we're going to do? Or did it just kind of evolve?
I think it just evolved. I think because essentially the way we did it was pretty much Legoland style. There wasn't much of a band in the room all playing together.
Right.
So normally we'd start off with keyboards and put a sort of nice warm pad down, rather than putting bass and drums down. So you don't peg down the bottom end to start with. So you can start by exploring nice inversions. And Pino would probably be the last person to go on.
Amazing.
And I think what happened by starting with that, someone thought, well, hang on, that sounds really great. What was initially a guide became an integral part of the whole sound.
Yeah. So that was a general way of working. You'd put guides on and build the track up and then replace things.
Yeah. First of all, explore, as I say, the inversion. Obviously the keys for the vocal, but also some really nice inversions.
So would you have a click track or something?
Start with.
Yeah.
I don't know what we used. Well, we used a lot. We sort of personalised the old 808 sound.
Yeah.
That's used a lot.
Yeah.
I still really like that drum machine. It has a certain inherent feel that other machines don't seem to have. We weren't really big on Linn drum machines. They were big at the time.
Yeah.
So the second album, they had a Fairlight down at Parkgates, I seem to remember.
Yeah, because
nobody knew how to work
Tear Your
it.
Playhouse Down's got a bit of that on it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's all a bit more modern and exciting sounding.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was the Fairlight. But it's all sort of played manually.
Yeah.
Never really got into how you actually program the playing. It was always breaking down as well, I seem to remember. But it looked good at that time. It was great to put Fairlight on your album sleeve.
That was just owned by the studio, was it? So they've been out and spent 60 grand or something.
I suppose so, yeah.
Those are the days, aren't they?
Yeah. You had to have money, didn't you, to get all those things in. Yeah.
Imagine spending money like that these days, can you?
I had about 3 or 4 sounds on it, I think, that we used. But
classic sounds.
The good old 80s,
Yeah. What else am I going to ask you then? You've also, I see on your exciting blurb that's on the SJP website that says you helped out share with writing. Do you write songs yourself, or do you co-write, or is that?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, when I first started, that was my big plan. But in the end, what it's like, you end up working for everybody else, and you never. I mean, I had when I was 18, I had a publishing deal for writing songs, and released a couple of things on Anchor Records. I don't know if you remember them, part of ABC.
All right.
But yeah, I do dabble, in a bit of writing.
Yeah.
And the share thing, a good friend of mine, Anthony Moore, who is now Professor of Sound at the Academy for Media Arts in Cologne. He's an absolute brilliant person, but I've collaborated with him on quite a few things. And Cher was recommended to us, and she came down here, and we spent quite a few days with her. It was great fun, actually. And Anthony used to live in the East End, and they used to get a lift from her driver back, and that's actually when she ended up buying a place in Wapping, through that sort of car journey going to that part of London. And she ended up living in Wapping for like a year or something.
How peculiar.
People would see us, skating down Wapping High Street. Which was quite fun.
Fantastic.
But she was great. She wrote some great songs, but suddenly, I just didn't hear from her again. And the next thing you know, that she comes out with that big disco smash. Rob Dickens from Warner's got it back on the disco thing. But I mean, it was a huge hit. It was massive. But I still think of her often and think, well, maybe I'll give her a call, because I'm sure deep down she'd still love to do a record of integrity, and they were quite touching on that Americana thing, the sort of thing that Rick Rubin's done with Johnny Cash and Neil Diamond. It was more from that sort of world, quite, sort of using loops, but quite organic, slide guitar, and we did about 4 songs, I think.
Right.
But
So we've sort of skipped ahead, but you're here at Jules Holland's studio. This is pretty much where you work from all the time these days.
If I can, I try and I don't really like studios that much, really. I mean, I used to love going to Whitfield Studios because of the people there.
Yeah.
And but no, this is perfect because
Why don't you like going to other places then? Is it because you're not used to the monitoring, or you're just not comfortable?
I don't mind if they're small setups with like one room. I'm just not into this. You bump into one of, Def Leppard or something in the coffee room, and you have to explain how it's going. Do you know what I mean? Because quite often I'm very grumpy when I'm working, and I just don't want to talk to anybody really that's not connected with the project. Yeah. I've always found that quite difficult. But,
well, it's like when you're mixing and there's somebody looking over your shoulder, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
If you're like me, I like to chuck everybody out of the room as much as possible and get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is perfect. I've got the keys. I mean, it's without being corny, it's a creative process, isn't it? And the great thing here is, if it's not working out, if you're doing a vocal or something, it's not working out. Okay, come on, let's go down the pub. We'll come back tomorrow. Yeah. Whereas, if you're at Abbey Road or somewhere, the old clock's ticking. You've paid for that day, and you feel obliged to press on, even though it's probably futile, So
there's nobody watching the clock here, then you can tip about. Well, what's your unique selling point? How would you describe yourself to somebody who is a potential employer of your services?
How would I sell myself?
If you're up for doing a band or something, they were trying to choose a producer and they had a meeting with you. They go, well, why should you do it?
I think, as we said earlier, I'm very good with songs, very good with arranging. I'm very, good at spotting the potent bits and exploiting that, and obviously depending on what the project is, but certainly with bands, and I do the sound as well, and but I mean, bands are a pain in the arse, really. Let's face it. But often your ideas get diluted somewhat with bands and things. But no, I guess that would be it. I mean, just and 36 years of experience, I guess. And I mean, so many bands now want that sort of old school type thing. And that's, I suppose my forte really, in a modern sort of way. Yeah.
Were you always one for doing a lot of pre-production then? Would you rehearse for the band for
Yeah, not so much. I mean, I like spending time with the demos and then coming back with copious amounts of notes on one, and one for endless notebooks, reams and reams of notes of ideas, and why don't you start with a chorus instead of what's happening or that sort of thing.
Would you spend a lot of time in a rehearsal room with a band?
I wouldn't say a lot of time. Because the things when you get in the studio, things just change so much. I mean, the thing with me is I'm not into using the studio as a sort of just capturing what somebody does live. I have a romantic vision of making records. I think records are just great. It's an art form, And now that the emphasis is everything's on the live thing, and I really would like to get back to that well-crafted, like English psychedelia, Tamla Motown, the Beach Boys, all those great crafted records, and this whole notion that making records is some sort of quick process is nonsense. If you picked up maybe one of your favourite records, the chances are it took a long time to make and get right. Augmenting and changing, and that's what I like to do. I like to make records, not tape record just ideas. As Phil Spector once said. you know.
I mean, that's obviously something you're very good at, is keeping that overall view, because, you know, I find if I listen to something long enough, I get to like it. You know, even if it's even if it would be better another way, it's very difficult sometimes to tell. Do you not struggle sometimes? You make a change to a song that everyone's familiar with, and everyone goes, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Normally, I
find
get a
your
vision
corner
very
and
quickly,
yeah.
and I hear it in my head. That's how it should be, and sometimes it can be completely different to what they've done.
Yeah.
You know.
And do you fight your corner fairly aggressively?
Oh, total fascist.
Yeah.
In the studio.
Right.
I mean, not, you know, I mean, that's the other art, isn't it?
Well,
It's
yeah, you
dealing with
seem
people.
like
That's
such
the
a
other
nice
part.
guy.
Well, that's I mean, I'm joking. You know, that's the other part
Yeah.
of
Well,
record production, isn't it? That whole grey area of motivating the artist, and you know, I mean, that's the other selling point, I would say, if you like, is that I'm very good with dealing with bands and stuff, and just manipulating it so I get.
So what do you say? Yeah. So you just said to me, you should put the chorus at the beginning. No, it's rubbish. We like it how it is. What do you say at that point?
I would probably say, well, why don't we try it? You know, we can do it both ways. I mean, you know.
And what about people who come up with daft time-wasting ideas? Do you indulge them and try them all out?
I probably normally do, yeah. Again, depending on what it is, because what might seem to be a daft time-wasting idea might not be, you know, in the end. Or, as often the case, it will evolve into something completely different anyway. Yeah. It's just a starting point for something, you know. So, you know, you've just got to keep an open mind all the time. You know, you're forever learning things all the time, I think.